Hello friends, greetings and welcome to my YouTube channel Fragmenting Wisdom. Health and safety both are very important and our occupation impact both. Hence, in this video we are going to learn about hazard identification and associated risk analysis for our occupational health and safety management system, which is one of the requirement of ISO 45001 standard as well. I request you to please watch this video completely in order to learn about HIRA or Hazard Identification Risk Analysis. If you have not yet subscribed, I request you to please subscribe and press the bell icon to get the notification about new video uploads. Hazards and risk are key part of any organization's occupational health and safety management system or ISO 45001 standard requirement. Risk assessment is a systematic approach to identify hazards, evaluate risk, and take appropriate measures to manage and mitigate risk for any workplace or activity. The main aim of the hazard identification and risk analysis is to protect workers' health and safety, and also to help to minimize the possibility of workers and environment being harmed due to work-related activities. Hazard identification and risk assessment is a form of occupational health and safety risk assessment, where an organization determines the severity of the actual and potential threats its activities and processes may have on the health and safety of a person. You need to prioritize them to reduce the significance for the betterment of occupational health and safety management system. ISO 45001 standard does not have any specific methodology for conducting hazard identification and risk assessment in any organization. However, in QBs, we have designed 3 to 4 unique and simple approaches for conducting hazard identification and risk assessment. Due to time and technical constraint, I cannot explain you all these approaches on YouTube channel. However, I will explain you the detailed concept of hazard identification and risk assessment, which will help you to design your own approach. While planning hazard identification and risk assessment in our organization, we must consider various factors. These factors includes operations and activities of our organization, health and safety conditions, accidents and near-miss situations, potential emergency situations and preparedness, legal and other requirements, inputs of safety committee members, inputs from workers working in our organization, and define standard operating procedure for conducting hazard identification and risk assessment. Considering these factors, our first step should be to define the process for conducting hazard identification and risk assessment in our organization. These factors are inputs for defining the process. So friends, what is hazard? Hazard is something that causes harm or injury. To learn hazard, we should understand 3 conditions. First is source, then situation, and then act. So let us learn what is source. Consider a person working at soldering station where smoke is coming out due to soldering operation. Here the smoke is a source of hazard. Now consider the situation where a person working at his or her workstation and short circuit occurs. Here short circuit is a situation for hazard. Lastly, consider an act. A forklift driver is allowing a person to stand on forks of the forklift to complete his work. Here, standing on forks of the forklift is an act for hazard. The easy way to find out the hazards at your workplace is to focus on source, situation, or act. Let us now learn how to identify these hazards. Look at the way the work is organized or carried out. Also consider experience and age of the people doing the work, system being used, foreseeable or anticipated conditions. We should also examine the risk to the subcontractors, visitors, or public. You can also consider the nearby industries. Here are some examples of hazards: chemical spillage, radiation, fire, open electric wires, slips and trips, falling hazards while working at height, exposure to heat, heavy objects fall down. To identify hazards, follow these steps in your organization. The first step is to identify source of harm. Consider hazardous event or a process, hazardous substance or equipment. The second step is to identify who could be harmed, like operators, contractors or suppliers, or visitors. And the third step is to identify how harm could occur: accidental fall from height, contact with corrosive elements. Accidental fall from height or contact with corrosive chemicals are just an example. You can identify harms in your own organization. Now, the question is, what is risk? Risk is the chance of someone being harmed by the hazard. Let us now see the definition of risk. Risk is a combination of the likelihood of an occurrence of a hazardous event or exposure and the severity of injury or ill health that may be caused by the event or exposure. In short, the formula is risk is equal to hazard effect into probability. Probability is likelihood of occurrence. So the steps are pretty simple now. Identify what can go wrong. Then how likely it is going to happen and what are the impacts that should be identified. This will help us to find out the level of the risk. You can categorize the level of the risk in high, medium or low, and then it is very easy for you to manage these risks. Now, the another question pops up in my mind. Who should do the risk assessment? The risk assessment has to be done by cross-functional team, and this team should include representatives from all functions and also workers or workers representative. While doing the risk assessment, you should follow the crocodile principle. The principle number 1 is to identify the risk. Principle number 2 is to evaluate the risk. The third principle is to eliminate the risk, kill the crocodile. Fourth principle is to substitute the risk. You can always think of substituting cat with respect to the crocodile. Cats are less hazardous than crocodile. Then you isolate the risk. Use of personal protective equipment is the last principle. Normally, we consider this as a first principle, but which is wrong. We should use personal protective equipment as the last principle of risk assessment. So friends, if you wish to learn this concept in detailed way, please do contact us. We at QBiz conduct detailed activity-based workshop on hazard identification and risk assessment. If you would like to strengthen your occupational health and safety management system performance, please contact us for conducting this workshop at your premises. If you find this video helpful, please click on the like button and provide your valuable comments in the comment section. If you have not yet subscribed, please do subscribe and press the bell icon to get the notifications about new video uploads. Shortly, I will come back with the new video. Till then, be safe and be healthy. Thank you so much for watching Fragmenting Wisdom.